Welcome to the YCNU podcast. Join us each week for engaging conversations with campus leaders, students, faculty, staff, alumni, and community members. From academics to athletics, campus life, and beyond, we cover it all. Have someone you want to hear from? Let us know. Let's explore the world of Yavapai College together.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the YCNU podcast. I'm your host, Cadu Medina, and I'm here today with my co-host, Michael Grady. Hey, but you're not a co-host today, Mike.
No, but I'm drawing 2 paychecks for this one, I think.
There you go. We have a double feature on Mike Grady here today. He's going to help me run the questionnaire here, but he's also the interviewee. So we're going to be picking on Mike here a little bit today. Mike, I am so excited to talk about this topic, the YCNU magazine.
Yes.
But before we go there, how you doing?
I am doing pretty well.
Do you think people know you enough? Do we need to give them a little intro on you? Who's Mike Grady? Let's just start there.
Oh, wow. That's a question I've been asking myself for years, Cadu. But I'm usually, the short answer for folks around Yavapai College and the Yavapai College community is I'm usually the person hanging around in the corner of the room writing on a small steno pad or holding out a recording device. And generally irritating people. But I've been in the marketing department here for 8 years. And my job basically is to be a correspondent for all things YC, to cover the geography of the things we teach, the programs we have, the participation we have in the community. And that's a very eclectic job, and it's a very interesting one, and it keeps me on the move.
I love it. We can call you like our journalist, our press release guy, but I prefer to call you our storyteller.
Well, those are all nicer terms than I've been referred to. Yes. So I'll take any one of those terms.
We have stories to tell. And, as we know, storytelling has become an immense part of what marketing is all about.
Oh, yeah.
Contemporarily speaking, I mean, it's all about stories. It's all about how we can tell those stories through the many different channels that we have. And, I'm glad that you're here doing that for us, kind of being like the chief of storytelling here for us. How about that?
Well, thank you very much. It's a title. It's a title I kind of share with JJ McCormick.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Who is our social media maven, and she's actually quicker point to point than I am. I do more of the long form stories, more of the deeper dives, but she's on every event that happens everywhere. She's like all over the place.
Absolutely. JJ, by the way, I need to get her here on the podcast to tell her story, because she's also so deep into this community and everything we do here. But we have you here today. And we're going to talk about storytelling on this super cool, exciting new channel that just came out. It's just about to come out. It's called the YCNU magazine. So let's start there. Let's talk about this magazine, Mike. First of all, why do we need a magazine? I mean, we're not a business, we're not a town or a trade organization or even a publication, right? The typical media outlet. Why do we need a magazine to capture what we do here at Yavapai College?
Because, simply put, we are so much bigger than an elevator speech or an index card now. It's not just, we're your standard community college, Cadu. Anyone who comes here is really waylaid by the vastness of the different enterprises, the different people, the different degree programs and career emphasis, the vast possibilities there, and all the people who populate the teaching and the learning and the working side of them. And I think on this level, community colleges, especially a progressive one like this one, is much more interesting because they're much more out in the community. They're much more into the workforce. They're much more about the practicality of how can we roll with the economy? How can we get our students a job? How can we launch our students on careers? So there's the whole the whole Fillmore thing about 1,000 stories in the Naked City. There's more than 1,000 at Yavapai College, but they're almost all redemption stories, redemption or they're happy stories, and it's been a pleasure to really tell those stories.
Absolutely. When you have a team of
approximately
700 people or so, I think, are we kind of up into thousands now?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a lot of people, a lot of departments, a lot of work being done here. And then you add students to the mix. I mean, it's an abundance of stories. There's so much happening everywhere, every time, all the time in this campus, in all our other 6 campuses. And the magazine definitely, you wouldn't run out of stories to tell this magazine.
No. And as I said, I have been here for years, and I not only run into compelling personal narratives every other day,
right?
But also programs and initiatives and new ideas that I was not aware of. So this college is a very self-generating, regenerating mechanism where it's always reinventing itself. It's always diversifying. And that keeps a youthful vigor here and in the surrounding community. And I also think it keeps us better equipped to embrace whatever's ahead.
Absolutely. And just like the podcast, which shares the same title, the YCNU.
Yeah, we're in litigation over that. We're saying we should talk about that because
it's an extension, right? I feel like it's there's a lot to communicate. There's a lot to share, and not everyone consumes information the same way. Some people prefer to listen to things. Some prefer to read. Some prefer to check their social media feed or their emails. So the magazine is here to kind of create one more channel, one more possibility. But it's particularly a channel that allows you to have like a multimedia almost approach to it, because you have pictures, the stories are longer, you have cross articles. So it's as we know, magazines, they're rich in terms of how much information you can pack into that issue.
Right? So and there's a lot of cross-pollination between the podcast and the magazine. Already, I think we've had a number of magazine subjects as podcast guests, and we've used podcast guests for magazine subjects. It works both ways, and they have the same title, not because Popular Mechanics was already taken as a title,
right?
But they have the same title because they're a similar resource. They're a similar interactive resource for the college community.
Right.
And as you said, different ways. We want this to be a unified place where people can get information or understand the nature of the college. Some people want to do it through a set of headphones. Some people want a magazine to read. It's the same motivation in 2 different expressions.
Absolutely. And like you said, a lot of times it's complementary. I remember that we recorded a podcast a while ago, and that podcast recording was featured in the magazine.
Yep.
Correct? Like you had
that is one of the stories in the upcoming YCNU.
Good example of that cross-pollination that you mentioned there. So it's not the same information, but just a complementary type of story.
And we actually have pictures of what it looks like to make this podcast, and a warning to readers. It's laws and sausages, folks. It's an ugly process. You may not want to look at it, but there's a lot of information in there.
We tied it up a little bit for the picture, obviously.
Oh, yeah. We're both in tuxedos.
Like right now, there's just cables flying everywhere and, chips and guacamole on the table. So it's all kinds of stuff.
Yes.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about the magazine here.
Sure.
Tell me a little bit about what you find in this issue number 1 of the YCNU magazine. What's in it?
Well, behind a gorgeous cover photo by Bill Layton.
Totally. Love that picture, by the way.
I love it too, because the issue is overall commencement themed. And Bill took a great commencement photo. Won't talk too much about it, but it kind of captures the essential spirit of what graduation and achievement at that level is like. Behind that wonderful cover, we have we're based in the idea of the personal story, the compelling personal story, and we have a lot of those in a lot of different formats. We have a wonderful student profile of Ashley Darling, who was formerly homeless. And now she spent 21 years working part-time to get her business degree, which she did. And now she's an entrepreneur. She's a businesswoman. She's a consultant for media and marketing now. She's an incredible artist, a mother of 4, and she is a model of perseverance and achievement and how education can play a role in that.
Love it. Yeah.
When you go, all of these stories have a college student at the base of them. Okay. Even we have a story on our baccalaureate degree program, our programs, and how they are developed and the philosophy behind them. Mm-hmm. And spoiler alert, I'm oversimplifying this a lot because a lot of research and a lot of scholarly work goes into developing these programs.
Definitely.
But it starts with empowering students and giving them the skills and credentials to work in the job market, in business, now in computer science, now in nursing. So it starts with the student and what can empower them, and then works back into curriculum and how you stage that. And it's a very interesting process that has been articulated in our 2 business baccalaureates now, the nursing degree, which is going to prove so essential to the healthcare community in Yavapai County over the next 5, 10, 20 years, because rural communities are often strapped with personnel.
Oh, absolutely.
And computer science, which is about, we have a great interview that started with the podcast with Philip Reed.
Absolutely, yeah.
Who's a very articulate advocate for the computer science program, talking about the basic conversation. It started with, what do we need to do to equip students to be versatile and pertinent in a computer science field that is constantly diversifying. And that includes AI, it includes our proficiency in AI, it includes work and integration with Intel and other providers. It is pre-formatted to stay current with the trends. Right. So there's the whole story on that.
Yep.
And then the center story is commencement. And if you've ever been to a commencement, and all of us have been to about 30 or 40 now, but when you go to them, there's always the shout outs to, hey, we honor this student, we honor Cheryl or Aaron or Brenda who did this and that, and people applaud and all that. But we wanted to go deeper on a few of those stories, and we found 5 students who had remarkable journeys to get to the place where they're standing under a mortarboard and going up and shaking the hands. Right. And some were phobic about college. One had to shake a long-term addiction to succeed in college. College was his way out. His way out of a deadly cycle, and he John, in one of our 5 stories, he's helping other addicts. He's a counselor. He's helping other addicts. He's a local taxpayer. He's a part of the working community, and education was a key to that.
Yeah, it's so inspiring. I mean, the event itself is just crazy to watch. Now, the stories that you're telling about the same students here, the depth that you explore in the magazine, it just creates so much more context to it, which kind of makes the commencement, makes graduation so much more special.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost like I want to read the magazine before I go to another graduation so you can really value that moment.
Well, Cadu, we wanted to develop something that, as far as the cover story goes, would make people look at commencement ceremonies differently. You can get caught up in the pomp and circumstance and the gowns and all the ritual of it, but it is the headwaters of a tremendous achievement.
Yeah.
And very individual stories. I used to call them Horatio Alger stories. The classic stories from the early 19th century dime novels where someone, from hard Scrabble means overcomes their demons and then succeeds.
Right.
But this is that story retold in a bunch of very different, very personal ways. And one of the great things about telling stories through individual biography is as a reader, you can see a surrogate, Say if you're someone who is getting out of high school or maybe never had a chance to attend college and you'd like to attend college, but maybe that's not something that's been in your family, you can see that modeled in the pages of the magazine and say, this person did it. Maybe I can do it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
The finest thing, and it's something you find covering collegiate excellence here, is you find these people, especially like first-generation college students who have to make that leap. Am I college material?
Right.
Have to overcome those preconceptions. But when people take the leap and then achieve and surprise even themselves, covering those stories is just wonderful.
Yeah. The other angle of that too is, like from a student perspective, sure, you see these stories and you feel empowered and you feel motivated and inspired to achieve your own, goals and overcome your own challenges. But from a staff and faculty side, we might sometimes not see the whole picture. When we see these students graduating, you might think that I helped them graduate.
Yeah.
And that's not the whole story. That's why the way you tell the stories in the magazine are so important. You're not only you faculty, you staff of Yavapai College, we're not only helping that student graduate, we're helping that student overcome a much bigger challenge that involves family history, personal challenges,
self-image,
health issues,
right.
confidence.
Right.
I mean, it goes so much deeper, but you don't know that. You might not be able to see that unless you read the whole story, unless you see the whole picture. It may make that moment of someone, like in the cover, I'm going to spoil a little bit more, raising, their certificate or raising their diploma right there.
Right.
It's bigger than just a diploma. They're lifting something much heavier than just 4 years of a bachelor's degree or 2 years of a certificate.
Because it's a hard thing, because it's a difficult thing. And I'll tell you what, as anyone who has graduated or pursued something meaningful, when you do that hard thing, when you complete that achievement, you have to reframe your own assessment of yourself and what is possible with yourself. And you're like, wow, I have to trade up on what I can possibly achieve in my life. And that's a wonderful thing.
Yeah. What is the magazine's mission and who is the audience for this magazine? Obviously, there must have been a moment where you were sitting down with leadership and head of departments and like, all right, we're going to put this magazine together. What was the thought behind putting this magazine together? I mean, granted, we had a magazine before, but it was slightly different. Maybe we can start there. What was the thought process there and the evolution of this channel that we had before? The 360, what was it called?
It was called YC360.
YC360.
And that wasn't even
before my time.
Oh, yes. It was carved on wood. It was the new butter churning program.
Absolutely.
It goes even back further than that. It was originally a magazine called Focus, developed through the foundation. And the original intent was to articulate gratitude and point out people who were benefactors of the college. Right. And it was a small picture-based volume, and it was kind of inside baseball. It was an inside the community thing. The growth of the magazine kind of mirrors the college it has covered, because we moved to YC360, which was always between 16 and 24 pages, because there were just too many stories that we could not tell.
Right.
We've got to put this out somewhere. And, these people are accomplishing things. We're signing these great academics. We have this program. And we put out the magazine to start to address the breadth and complexity of academic programs we were covering, the development and growth that was all around. I think YC360 really hit its stride during the pandemic, because we were about to go to press on an issue in spring of 2020 when the pandemic hit. So suddenly we're all working from our homes, right? And we decided, the pandemic is the story here. And the college did a miraculous thing over that spring break in 2020, where they rolled an enormous amount of conventional courses over to online or partially online. It was Hannibal crossing the Alps kind of epic scale. And that's a story that had to be told. Right. So we kind of embraced that over the spring of 2020 and told that story and the amazing number of things that was being done. Over at CTech, they were making masks and medical equipment out of the 3D printers. There was a lot going on, a lot of diversification and response going on.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And then we thought, okay, what else can we do with this?
Yeah.
So YCNU is kind of a bigger, better YC360 with a little more reach, a little more time, a lot more photography, and more stories, because framing and editing and all of that, that's great. But it like with Ashley Darling and like with the graduates, the people here, especially the students, are the story.
Right. And the stories really kind of carry through. It's almost like I'm thinking in my head here, we can almost create this timeline here where we went from the focal point of the story were initially gratitude. We moved on to survival. We can do this. We can continue to do this. And now we're at celebration of success in our student stories.
Right.
So we went from gratitude to survival to celebration.
And there's also an obligation that we have with the expanse of the college now, with the number of programs and innovations that are being done with the 7 campuses and learning centers. We have an obligation to communicate all of that to the community, to show them what's available. And we hope that YCNU and both the podcast and the magazine does that in terms of telling our story so people know what's available, and also serving as a record for where we are and what we're achieving as we move forward.
Right. And again, with a little bit of a celebration tone to it.
Yeah.
This is not a catalog.
Yeah. Well, the reason we went big on the last spring commencement, because we realized that is really the emotional pinnacle of the journey that the college embraces and that every student embraces. So why not start with that?
I love it. Let's talk a little bit about you. I know you were a reporter for so many years. We don't have to say how many, because I know you feel a little self-conscious about it. You kind of described it initially there, like with the little pencil in the notebook. I mean, that already put you back in the 80s.
You know, when the Vikings landed, that was a really hard day. Everybody was all hands on deck.
Feather pens.
Oh yeah, it's everybody's quills running dry.
Okay,
it was a while.
Not that long ago. Mike, come on. All right, so you've been doing this for quite some time, and is covering the college our stories different from covering stories in a newspaper, for instance?
A lot of the dynamics are the same. The basic dynamic, when you're covering news or when you're covering a city beat or something like that, you get good and bad, frequently bad. You know, you get death and mayhem and property destruction and robbery and all that, because that's part of the picture. That's part of your informing your community. So, and after the newspapers in the community in the Phoenix area went belly up, or a number of them did, I kind of moved around as a gypsy writer to a number of different fields. I was in nonprofits for a while, and then I went into tech, and that was fascinating, but a little bloodless in terms that you're talking about, how our hard drive is better than their hard drive, or different kinds of you can you can write well about software, but it's really hard to feel passionately about it. So and this is the primary difference, is I am on a beat now covering different stories about growth, about personal growth, academic growth, about fostering knowledge, about teaching and development on an academic level. So there's a lot of positivity rattling around that I get to cover. And I like the dynamic of that.
Do you think that the fact that you are writing articles, telling stories to a completely different audience from your days in tech, is that maybe the reason why you kind of rediscover this passion for storytelling? Do you feel more inspired because the audience is very different? Oh, yeah. You can't interview like the graduates, the five graduates whose stories we tell in the magazine. You can't chronicle their stories without becoming emotionally involved. I mean, because you're rooting for them. Yeah. It takes, totally get it. And that's the virtue of a community college too, because I've worked for bigger colleges, and community colleges have a pleasant practicality about. They seem to start with, how can we help you get a good job? Yeah. It's not about it's not about awards. It's not about programming. It's not about branding or anything. It's like, here we are. Here are the people of our community. How can we help them? And the diversity of that field, the student, is compelling too, because we're not talking about just 18-year-olds who got out of high school anymore. College is not that template anymore. People return to college. People get a second career at college. People, we have these programs where you can get individual certifications, so people can advance in their own job within the structure of the companies they're already in. I'm not sure what our average student age here is, but it's somewhere in the 30s. So there are a lot of working moms trying to, get a nursing degree a radiology degree. One of the funnest things to go to a radiology commencement sometime, because that's a hard program. Yeah, I bet. And it's not just the students who show up; all families show up. And as Tracy Rogers, who runs the program, says, it's a family commitment when you're pursuing a radiology degree. Right. And you have all these families who are they're all there. They're thrilled. They've all made sacrifices for this program, for their, for their loved one, and they're all thrilled. And it's a shared accomplishment, and that's a wonderful feeling to have. It's beautiful, and I experienced the same thing for the longest time. Marketing for me, the motivation behind all the marketing was profit, but here, the motivation isn't profit. The motivation is something much more noble, much more humane. Yeah. It's that benefit. It's that win that does not mean money in the bank,
No.
It means transforming somebody's life and being able to just be there to help them achieve these things. And so I can see what you mean.
And you get the peripheral effect as you cover that, because I know you do this with your interviews too. And, when you're going to we all hit a point where we're not very thrilled about our job, or we're caught up in our routines or our own personal stuff. So then you go and cover the story of someone who overcame enormous odds to get that degree, to get a better job, to be an example for their kids. And that rubs off on you to a degree. And that's one of the best perks of this job is you see what growth does. You see people prosper, and you can't help but feel good about that.
It's awesome. That's how I feel every commencement ceremony. Every year when we have our graduation, I come out of it feeling so energized. Right.
And it makes me feel bad because when I got my bachelor's, I was at a Big Ten university. I was too cool to go to the commencement, which I regret. I went to see Ghostbusters.
Oh my God.
Which it's a fine film, but I had absolutely no personal stake in it. But I look at it in a much different way now.
Well, now we get to see every commencement.
Yes, we do.
Other people's commencement.
Yes, I know that person in green.
I know. All right, what makes a good magazine story? We kind of already went through a little bit what the stories are all about. How do you really, focus on the whole background, the context in which someone had to endure to graduate and what that means to them. So, but still, what makes really a good story? Are we looking for when you are getting, your recommendations or your leads for stories, what are you looking for? What kinds of stories really make an article into the magazine? Well,
empathy. If you can see, everyone relates to the human struggle. We're all struggling with something, and if you can see someone with a desire to earn, earn this degree or attain this level of expertise or get this job they've dreamed about or change from the job they've settled on to this job they've dreamed about, you grab on to that sense of struggle. And it's not the same story every time. People are battling lots of different issues and lots of different obstacles, and things circumstances are very specific to degree programs and family background and all that. But you can recognize, if you can recognize and root for a person, that's a story you want to tell. So I would say that would be the big ingredient.
So stories that really kind of spark that empathy in the reader, right?
Right.
That's what you mean by empathy there. It's because the empathy is coming from the reader.
Right.
They are reading that story and feeling like, I empathize with this. If they can do it,
I understand.
I can do it. I can go with this. I can overcome my own challenge because look at this.
Oh yeah.
This is what I needed to hear today too.
Yeah. And the second timers are inspiring too. The folks who were got out of college and didn't consider, and they kind of self-edited. They went, I'm not college material, and held it off for years. Or they went and tried and were overwhelmed and left for whatever reason. And then they decide to come back and push back
Absolutely.
against the preconceptions and the fear. Those are wonderful
Those
stories.
are good stories. And how do we get them? How do you get your stories? For the magazine, what is how if I again, the college is vast and wide. Mm-hmm. There's stories happening every time. If someone feels like they have a story like that, they want to share with you, they want to get that story to you. How do you get the stories for a magazine?
Well, there's no real secret sauce. We have several different sources. We talked a little bit about, you and I have gotten referrals for each other between the magazine.
Luckily, yes. Yeah.
And, Jennifer McCormick, JJ, who's our social media maven. That's not her official title, but she knows if it's social media, she does it. She's a wonderful resource for that. We often have, I go to a lot of faculty meetings and have teachers corner me saying, you have to, let me tell you about this student I have who is remarkable. But I want to say that our primary source and our most viable source is the people who are listening to this podcast now, the people who are our audience for the podcast and for the magazine. And they are on the ground. They have a level of coverage. Mm-hmm. Our audience has a level of coverage that we can never get.
Right.
And if you have a story if you are a story, or you know of someone who is part of a remarkable journey, give us a call. Call us at marketing. Yeah. I can give you my email if you'd like.
Oh, we will at the end of the podcast. I love how the magazine, and like the podcast, functions as a lead generator too. I mean, you listen to this, you read the magazine, and you immediately think of somebody. I would like to see that person here.
Yeah.
Right? And that goes back to the empathy that you were talking about there too.
Right.
Like we are able to recognize and we feel inspired to honor somebody else. And that's how, I guess, a lot of the articles come to you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And a lot of them are driven on feeling. And if someone has an idea, come to us, because I don't think, and I think you'll back me up on this, Cadu, for the podcast, I don't think either of us have ever said, I don't think that's a very good idea.
Never. Incredible. Yeah. Good point.
Thanks for playing our game here. Don't let screen.
Maybe next year.
We get some great stories just from the grassroots.
Absolutely.
So if there is somebody, could be yourself, who really has a story of success or development or challenge, please give us a shout. Yeah. We would love to hear about it.
Yeah. And more often than not, someone I interviewed in the podcast will then refer me to somebody else because they feel like, if you like my story, you're going to like that guy's story as well.
Yeah.
And that chain.
Yeah. Nothing beats word of mouth.
It's incredible. That's been, a really fun thing to do because the stories just show up, literally. Okay, let's get a little more operation on this. What's the biggest challenge covering Yavapai College in a magazine? Again, we're so vast and wide. There's so many people. What is the main difficulty here in putting this issue together? Besides the many thousands of hours that you have to spend writing, editing.
The trick with something temporal like a magazine is you have to take your deepest, widest dive into the story bank of compelling stories that you want to share, right? And then write them up and cover them in a way that does service to them, and then get all of that into a magazine and out before it's no longer timely.
Oh my goodness, right?
That's a challenge, but that's a challenge. The stories are great. So that's a challenge we embrace. But the biggest challenge, and we touched on this, is breadth. Finding those remarkable stories, finding those remarkable students and teachers and staff members, and getting to them. And that's why we kind of want our audiences to be our advanced scouts.
Absolutely.
In that way.
We didn't talk about this, but I'm sure someone is thinking out there, well, if we want to make, a magazine that is quicker to put out and the content, it's never too old, why don't you do it online?
Mm-hmm.
Well, now let's talk about evergreen content here. Why do we do a printed magazine, not an electronic magazine? What are some of the core benefits in there?
Well, the fact is we do both because this magazine, you want that as a tangible record of what is going on. You've really captured the college at that place and time.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, print hasn't gone away. And there are a lot of new technologies, and the magazine will be on the website. It will be available digitally as a flip book as well. So we're hitting all media. This,
right. The other reason, if I may throw one in a hat, there is people like to, because the stories in there are celebrations of life. They're celebrations of accomplishments and stories of achievement and all that. I think people want to keep that.
Yeah, there's a keepsake.
I think people want to have it, touch it, feel it, and give it to their grandmas. Or no, there's still that about magazines, right? Like we still keep them.
One of the things I'm proudest about regarding YC360, which was a good magazine, it was just smaller of scale than YCNU magazine, is that our senior leadership would use that as a calling card, because it's kind of a core sample of this is Yavapai College in this moment of time. You want to know what we are, what we stand for, what we can do. Here it is, page through this, see the different programs.
Right.
And so you want that portability of a print product, right? Yeah. You want that time capsule factor. And if you're in this, I just got finished. I spent half the day the other day sending out print copies to the magazine to some of the students we covered, because it's like, I want their moms to have this.
Oh, absolutely.
I want this on refrigerators,
they will. They'll keep it.
Absolutely. So it does have that value, but we're not being Luddites about this. It's also going to be available by the end of the month on a flip book off the YC, the college
website. Yep.
And we'll give you that website at the end of our discussion, but it'll be available in all forms. If we could make it an ice cream flavor, we would.
We would. Throw a little chocolate on top. But what I wanted to finish this podcast here with which is kind of in segue to what we were talking about there. Also, the distribution strategy that we have behind this magazine here is part of why we did it on a print version and not just an electronic version. We want everyone to have a copy of this.
Yep.
We want the entire community to hold on to one of these books, flip through them, and see the stories that we're featuring, see what we're all about and what we've been working on for the past year and a half.
And that is right. I love that. There was a beautiful setup, Cadu.
Tell me about...
Because YCNU magazine will be coming soon to a mailbox near you. Right at the end of your driveway. Open it up. We're starting to send them out end of this week. So if you live in the county, you should see it in your mailbox within the next week.
What's the number of physical copies that are going out, just to kind of put people at ease here that you're getting yours?
I would say it's somewhere, I don't have the precise number with me, but it's somewhere north of 80,000.
80,000 copies of the magazine are being shipped to every mailbox in the county.
And we want to let you know about it because we know what mail is like, and we want you looking for it, because it's not a coupon flyer. Okay, it's not a solicitation to join us downtown for this dinner and find a way to get out of your timeshare. It's not one of those things.
Thank goodness.
It's a color. It's the college in story, and it'll be coming to your mailbox in full color. And we want you to be on the lookout for it.
And I think that's probably the main reason why we're here today, Mike. You and I, sort of interviewing each other and bragging about this magazine and getting people excited about it, is because we really want them to see it. We really want them to read it and experience what we're sharing here, how we feel about the stories, how we feel about the students that are featured in this magazine. And it's not because of all the work that we put into it. It's not because of the thousands of hours, again, that you spent editing and writing this magazine. It's about the stories that are there. Yeah. And the thousands of hours that the students featured in these stories put in to get where they got.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. This is the point in time that we have all come to, and whenever anybody we've had a number of new hires come on here at Yavapai College, and they're all struck by what a busy workplace it is. We're all busy here from the student level on, the faculty level and the staff too. These people, we all work hard. The only possible downside of that is we're moving so fast, we maybe don't appreciate the breadth and the depth and the value of the work we do. And this is a way of celebrating all of us, faculty, staff, and students, and giving ourselves an acknowledgement before we charge into the future, which we're doing a day at a time here.
I love it. All right. So end of the week, magazines are shipping. They should be getting this next weekend. Today is September 17th, to put a little context here, because people will be listening to the podcast a little down the road. But
that next,
are you excited about that?
I'm excited to see it
cycle.
I'm excited to see it land. Once you see Bill Layton's cover in your mailbox, you'll be you'll know what you're looking for. It's going out the end of this week. All of next week, it should be hitting mailboxes around the county. And if by chance you don't get it, you can get it on the college website after next Friday, starting on the 26th. It will be on the college website, www.yc.edu/YCMAG. So that'll be there for you, and let us know what you think.
I love it. How can they let you know what they think? I know you're a reachable guy. It's easy to find you.
It's easy. Just turn on a coffee maker somewhere and I'll show up. My best connection is through email. So Michael Grady, michaelgrady@yc.edu. I'd love to hear what you have to say. I'd love to hear any ideas or suggestions you might have, because we want this to be a responsive publication that conforms to your best ideas and suggestions as well. So, drop me an email, Michael Grady, michael.grady@yc.edu. I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Wonderful. Mike Grady, it was a pleasure interviewing you. Thank you for sharing all this information here with us about the magazine. And man, congratulations. It's a beautiful product. I think it's just something to be extremely proud of. I'm really happy that I'm in the magazine.
You're in the magazine.
The podcast was able to, make it to this.
Yeah, we're like, they filmed a podcast interview that you and I did, and we were like, wow, we look like that.
I know.
Okay.
And if you for some reason haven't met me in person and Mike in person, you can flip through the magazine and see what we look like.
God
so
help
you can put a face with the podcast voice. Yeah, that was corny. Sorry about that. Mike, anything else?
No. Hope you enjoy the magazine. Hope you see a little of yourself in it, and hope it gives you a broader appreciation of what we do at Yavapai College.
Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the YCNU podcast. We hope you enjoyed our conversation today. Don't forget to follow and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. Got someone in mind for our next chat? Reach out and let us know. Until next time, keep exploring, and we'll see you next week.